Hi there, Ford owners. Today in your 2012 Ford F-150, we're going to be taking a look at and showing you how to install Roadmaster's Diode wiring kit. These kits are available in a few different combinations depending on the cable that you would want to use for its connection. You can either get a coiled cable, a hybrid coiled to straight cable, a completely straight cable. These are all 6-pole connections. There's also a 4-pole cable available, and you can get it with no cable at all. And that's just going to determine which one is going to work best for you is based on the tow bar that you get, whether the tow bar has channels or not. If it does have channels, I'd recommend a straight cable, and it also depends on the length, the distance between your motorhome and your vehicle. Sometimes that's where that straight to coiled cable might come in handy as well. The diode wiring kit takes all the lighting signals from your motorhome and it transfers them to the lights here at the back of your truck. This way people behind you will know your intentions going down the road. The signals it transfers are your left turn signal, right turn signal, tail lamps and brake lamps, which keeps you DOT compliant in all states. I went ahead and turned on the hazard lights in our motorhome, and we can see that the lights flashing at the back of the motorhome are being mimicked here at the back of the vehicle. Because our vehicle is going to be blocking those lights in most situations, so this way people can see them. The lights here on our vehicle is all the existing lights. The diodes installed behind the assembly, and they act as a one-way check valve, so that way the signals coming from the motorhome can only go to the light bulb and illuminate it, but can't backfeed into our wires and affect any of the wiring or modules on our truck. To me, this is one of the cleanest installations as far as getting lighting on your truck for hauling behind your motorhome, because it looks just like a regular old vehicle, and it is a little bit more of an installation than like a magnetic light solution, but once you've got it installed, it's by far the easiest. You just hook up your cable at the front and you're done. Magnetic lights are, I guess, an easier installation because you just set them on top and they stick to your vehicle, but you have to get those out and do that every single time you want a flat tow. And with this, you just plug in and you're good to go. So a little more upfront installation, but a much better result in the end. And here at the front, we can see our customer's tow bar doesn't have any channels or anything like that. So our customer opted for the kit that comes with the coily cable. And this is perfect for this one because that way the coily cable will stretch as the distance increases, because once our tow bar is fully extended and locked into place when we're going down the road, we're going to need more distance. This one can stretch to do that, but it also springs back, which keeps it from dragging down on the pavement. There's 5 main components you'll need when flat towing your F-150 behind your motorhome. You'll need your tow bar, which is the connection between your motorhome and your vehicle. You'll need your safety cables, which are a supplemental connection in addition to the tow bar. You'll also need your base plate, which is the connection point on your vehicle that you'll attach your tow bar and safety cables to. You'll need diode wiring or other sort of wiring such as magnetic lights to take all the signals from your motorhome and transfer those signals to the back of your vehicle so people behind you know your intentions when going down the road. And lastly, you'll need a supplemental braking system which will help your vehicle come to a complete stop when you apply the brakes in your motorhome. We'll begin our installation by routing our wiring. Now you may notice that our bumper's off, and that's because we just got done installing our base plate, and that's the perfect opportunity to start installing your wiring. You've got these components out of your way, and it's a lot easier to route things without that bumper in the way. The wiring is going to connect to a bracket that you can mount where you want on the bumper. You can put that bracket wherever you like, assuming that you got the one that comes with your base plate. If not, there is a bracket that comes included with our wiring kit here that we can use, but more often than not, the one that comes included with your base plate is going to be the better option because it's custom designed for your vehicle. The wiring here, though, it's going to be roughly in this location once we get the bumper back on. So we're going to route our wiring over towards the driver's side. We're going to go through the opening here next to the radiator, and we're just going to follow the factory wiring straight back till we hit the firewall. And you can see here at the back of the firewall where our factory harness is, we just continued following that down, zip tying it along the way, and we continue going back following that harness. And we just keep zip tying our harness to the factory one, going back, staying on the outside of the frame here, just following it the whole way. And once we get back here, right where our rear suspension is, we go up following that factory wiring harness. Now once we go up here, before we go any further back, I did cut the white wire, and I only cut just the white wire, and then I peeled it off. It just peels right off. These wires just peel apart. And the wire going towards the front of the vehicle, I just peeled off right here, so we can ground it right here, and then you can see the rest of our white wire continues on towards the front. The white wire where it continues on towards the back, I peeled that off as well, but we're going to use the rest of that white wire in a later step. So we're going to get this grounded. This is the white wire going off towards the front where we had started. We're going to use the included ring terminal, strip back the white wire, crimp on the ring terminal. Then we'll take the self-tapping screw that comes included with our kit, and we're just going to run it right into the frame. We're going to run ours right here because we don't want to run it into the body of the vehicle as far as like into the cab, because we don't want to allow any moisture or potentially exhaust gases to enter the cab of the vehicle. So that's why we're choosing something like this. And then just make sure it's snug. And now we can continue routing the rest of our wires on towards the back. And from here, they just stay on top of the frame rail. We continue going back, following that factory harness. We do go above the spare tire. And here you can see our yellow, brown, and the white wire that we had cut and we're going to be using at a later step we talked about. We're using that now. So we run these over towards the driver's side. We go up through the openings in the bottom to where they go behind our taillight assemblies. And then on the passenger side, we run the green wire over on the passenger side. And then the white wire that we've got run over on this side, we're actually using the excess that we had cut off. It's just a jumper, so this white wire is just running straight across over to the other side. So now we need to gain access behind the taillights because we've got the wires routed there, but we need to pull them up and make our connections back here. So we've opened the tailgate, and to remove the taillight assemblies, you've got 2 bolts. We're using an 8mm socket to remove those. And then the taillight assembly will just go straight rearward, just pull it rearward. You're going to have some electrical connectors on the back side, and we'll need to disconnect the connectors here. So if you look at the connector here, this is where the release tab would be. Our customers must have already had some service performed on his vehicle before, and these tabs are all broken off. But you would normally just press here and then pull it off. The part that you actually press on is what's missing, but the lock tab's still there. So if yours is like this, you need a flat blade screwdriver to go in on the side and pull up on the lock tab. And that will allow you to then slide the connector off. The other option you do have is you can just twist the bulbs to remove them. Like that, just give it a counterclockwise twist and the whole bulb will pop out of there. So you can do it whichever way works best for you. But these larger bulbs, I don't like to let them just hang out because you have the chance of bumping into it and breaking it or something. I do like to turn it on the bottom one because it makes it easier since our thing's broken here, our release tab's broken. Makes it easier to get these connectors that are broken disconnected. We'll then get the other side, the other tail light on the other side removed in the same way. So here we've got our connectors. The one we're going to tap into is the top one here, and it was kind of routed like that. We are going to route it back like that, but it's easier if you pull it down here. We got a little more length now to work with. So I've gone ahead and I just cut some of the sheathing so we can expose our wires here. And inside you're going to have 3 colors. You're going to have a yellow with a green stripe, your black wire, and then a brown and gray wire, gray with a brown stripe. The yellow wire with the green stripe is going to be the tail lights, and that's going to be the same on both sides. On the driver's side, we're going to use the gray with brown stripe as our stop turn signal. It's going to be a violet wire over on the other side. Black's going to be ground on each side. So we're only concerned with these 2, the stop tail turn wires, which is just these 2. So now that we know which ones we're going to be working with, we can go ahead and cut both of these wires. Then we're going to strip back each end of these wires, and then on each one of these we're going to be installing one of the blue spade terminals that comes included with our kit. You'll find the blue spade terminals pre-attached to the diodes. I find it easier to just pull those off of there when making our connections. So you can see them here. You're going to have one that has a yellow one. That's going to be for our driver's side here. But we're not going to be using that just yet. Let's get these 4 blue ones crimped on. I'll show you how to do one, and then I'll finish up the remaining 3. So we just slide it on there like that. And then crimp it in place. So I'll get the rest of these stripped back and crimped on, and then we'll move on to the new wires that we just ran. Now that we've got all these connections made, we can turn our focus to the wires that we've routed. So on the driver's side here, we've got brown and yellow wires that are routed from the front of the vehicle all the way back. And then we've got a section of white wire here that's just running from here over towards the passenger side. I went ahead and did cut in between each one of them because they come kind of all together. If you put a little cut in between them, you can pull them apart. You can see they just pull right apart, almost like your favorite pull-apart candy. We'll then take each of these. We're going to strip each one of these back. The brown and the white wire are going to get that single yellow spade terminal that comes in your kit, as that yellow one is designed for larger gauge wire. Since we're using two wires together, we're essentially doubling the gauge. We're essentially doubling its thickness. So we need a larger spade terminal. And the reason we're doing this is because the brown wire is sending our taillight signal from the front of the vehicle here to the back to light up our taillights. They're only running one wire back, and that's that brown wire, and that's going here to the driver's side. But we want both sides to light up when it's dark out. So that's why our white wire is going to jump that signal over to the other side. Our yellow wire here is just going to get a blue spade terminal like the rest of our wires. Once we've got this crimped on, we can start making our connection to our diodes. And it's pretty simple, really. We're pretty much just connecting the circuits back together how they were when we started. So if we grab our wires here, our gray and brown wire is our stop turn signal. And this is the output side. Our bulbs are essentially connecting right into this, and we want the out of our diode to go to illuminate the bulb. So we're going to plug in the connector side here into the out. We want the gray wire to be connected back together again. We need that taillight circuit to work normal for our vehicle. And since this is the stop turn wire on the gray-brown circuit, that's going to get the yellow wire that we routed back, because that is the stop turn wire that we ran. That's going to be coming from the signals from our motorhome. And then we're pretty much going to do the same story with this guy over here. Output always towards the connector to turn that bulb on, or LED, depending on the options you got in your truck there. The yellow wire here, we're just going to plug it back in. This is our factory yellow one with a green stripe. And then the brown and white combination is our taillight circuit that we had routed. So we're just going to plug this in to the other in right here. And then the two diodes here, you can stick it into the surfaces inside, but the length of wire is actually kind of short on your factory wiring, so it's hard to pull the taillight assemblies out if you do so. So I find it a little easier if we just take both of these wires, both of these diodes, pull the adhesive off, and then just stick them together. So then we can poke them in here. We can route our wires back, and then I'll just use a zip tie, and I'll zip tie these diodes right here to the body of the vehicle. And that's going to hold them, keep them from rattling around, and ensure that our connections are going to stay as they are. And you can see here how we've just zip tied it. And that way our harness wire here for our taillight assembly still has some movement, so that way if we ever need to service the bulbs or whatever, we can do so. So over here on the passenger side now, we're going to make basically the exact same connections. The white wire that we'd run over, you can see here, that was the one that's jumping from our taillight circuit from the driver's side. The yellow and green wires here are still the taillight circuits over here on the passenger side, so we'd cut that yellow-green wire again and wired our diode in between with the white wire clicking into that. But over here on this side, our stop/turn circuit is going to be a different color. Instead of being gray with a brown stripe, we're now violet with an orange stripe, so we cut that one instead. And our green wire that we had run over is the stop-turn circuit that we're running from the front of the vehicle, so we need to make sure that plugs into the in next to the violet-orange wire that's plugging into the in. So now that we've got all of our connections made here at the back, we can go ahead and reinstall our taillight assemblies. And these are just going to install in reverse order of how we removed them, with the diodes being able to place behind the opening there. We don't have to worry about them being in the way of any of our connectors or anything like that when putting these back together. Once you've got your taillight assemblies reinstalled, we need to assemble our 6-way at the front. However, if you are doing a full flat toe setup, I highly recommend getting all of your flat toe components all wired up before doing so, because we have to put the bumper back on, which we had removed during our base plate. And it'll be easier to install the braking system, charge line, and the other accessories the customer has while we've got that bumper removed. So once I get those done, I'll get the bumper reinstalled, and then we'll show you how to get the rest of it wired up there at the front. So now we'll hook up our wires to our 6-pole connector. The 6-pole connector came included with the diode kit. We've got 4 wires here for our diode kit. So we're just going to strip each one of these back. I went ahead and just took my snips and cut in between each of the wires, and that allows you to just kind of peel them back. After you've got each one peeled back, we're just going to strip each end. Then we'll take the dust boot off the back of our 6-pole connector. We're going to slide the dust boot over our wires. And then if you have any other accessories that you're going to be installing in addition to your diode wiring, you'll want to slide those wires through as well. We also installed a charge line kit. So we'll take our charge line kit wire, we're going to slide that through. The charge line kit, you're going to have plenty of excess wire there, and we're going to need some of that excess to finish up the installation on it. So we're just going to kind of hold it over, make it about the same length as the rest of our wires. Trim it and strip this one back as well. Now we need to loosen up some of the screws on the back side of our 6-pole. So there's the front side, here's the back. They are labeled, so it'll be easy to do this. We can see here this one's got an LT on it, that's left turn. We're going to be using that one. That's our yellow wire. So we'll loosen that up. Next to that is RT for right turn. That's the green wire from our diode kit. Next to that is S. We won't be using that one. Next is TM, so you can save that S for an accessory circuit if you need it for any of your accessories. TM we are going to use after the S there. That's for our tail lights. That's our brown wire. GD is next. That is our ground. That's the white wire. And then for a charge line kit that we're installing, if you are adding that as well, that's going to go to your center pin here. And that's the red wire from the charge line kit. So we'll just poke each wire in and then tighten the screw down in its corresponding hole based on the labels that are written on there. We'll slide our charge line into the center pin and tighten it down. So now that we've got all of our connections made, we'll take some dielectric grease and we're going to be generous with it and fill up the back side here. This is going to help keep out any moisture so you can ensure a long-lasting connection without corrosion. We'll then slide our boot over, and then I like to take some electrical tape and seal up both the front and the back. This just helps keep that dust boot from sliding off. We'll then take a little bit of conduit and put it over the ends just to make it look cleaner. You're going to get some conduit with your diode wiring, and you also get some conduit with the charge line if you got that. They are different sizes, so you just want to choose the most appropriate one. We can then line up our connector with the holes in our bracket, and then we'll use the hardware that came included with our diode wiring to attach it. You do also get a bracket with your diode wiring, but if you've got a place on your base plate, the base plate bracket is usually the best option. And we'll just put the nut on the other side, and then we'll tighten it down using a 10mm wrench and a Phillips head screwdriver. So now we just want to plug it in and test it out. We're using the cable that came with our kit. I'm going to plug it into our test box. This is a 7-way. So if you don't have a test box at home, you can just plug right into the back of your motorhome into its 7-way and then operate your lights in the motorhome. And when you operate your lights, you want to make sure you have your tail lights, your brake lights, your right turn signal, and your left turn signal. With all of our lights working properly, we're ready to button up our wiring using the zip ties and wire loom that it comes with to clean everything up, and then we can go ahead and hook up to our motorhome and hit the road. And that completes our installation of Roadmaster's diode wiring kit on our 2012 Ford F-150.